Believe me, I get it. I so get it, because I filed complaints against my biased, bigoted, bullheaded, and sexist supervisor. Okay, I've done that. During my work career, unfortunately, I've been denied reasonable accommodation, been a part of a class action, litigated pro se in trial court, had representation at the Court of Appeals, had to sue attorney for malpractice, and even accompanied a dear friend to the Supreme Court. Shout out to Anthony Perry, who won a victory for federal workers. So look, I know what I speak, because it's a lived experience. And despite what some of these TikTokers who've never put foot in the fire, it is not easy. And I urge you all to know before you go the EEO process. So that's why I'm here today. Now, I am not NOT, not an attorney. So I don't give advice. I share insight. I share insight because I'm an advocate for workplace equality. But guess what? When I first decided to file a complaint against my supervisor, who just happened to tell me, Tanya, you're black, you're a woman, you can go someplace else to work. When he said that, I knew I was enraged with emotion, but I had no idea where to take that complaint. And I had no idea where it would start and where it would end up. Do you? I know you might be frustrated with your toxic work environment, but do you know anything about the process? You need to. And don't let anybody fool you. Retaliation is often to follow, so you have to prepare. You know, many people don't know the process. You know, they just want to rectify a situation. But sometimes it's not that easy, and it doesn't get settled right away. And that's why I wrote 2 books. One for federal workers that deals with the ABCs, and the other one's empowerment that deals with non-federal employees. And they're both on Amazon, and I've talked about those in the past. But today, I want to share with you all what happens when you get the green light to go into court. Because once you get through that administrative process and it doesn't settle, you can then go into court. Okay? So there's seven steps basically, and check with an attorney if you're going to follow through. You know, I'm not an attorney, but I've lived these steps. First one, you're going to file a complaint. Okay, and that really starts the process. And you no longer are the complainant or whatever, the charging party. You become the plaintiff. And you're going to serve against your employer, who's going to be then the defendant. So service of process is the second step. The third step, your defendant, your employer, is going to respond. Supposed to anyway. If they don't, you can move for a default judgment, but that's a different story. But we're sticking with the process. Fourth, discovery. If you get there. Here, both parties exchange evidence and information relevant to the case. And discovery can include, depositions, interrogatories, and requests for documents. And I'll deal with that later. Fifth, pretrial motions. Now, before the trial starts, parties may file motions to, clarify certain issues, or knowing these employers, they're going to try to do motions to get your case dismissed. And after pretrial motions, if you're fortunate and you beat those summary judgments and other motions to dismiss, you get a trial where you can put everything there on the table that the judge allows to go on the table. And the last step, post-trial motions and appeals. where if the losing party could be the employer, could be you, if there's a legal error, you get to go to the Court of Appeals. Thank God there is a Court of Appeals when there's a fair judges on the Court of Appeals. In one of my cases, the lower court had ruled against me, and I had to take my case to the Court of Appeals. And fortunately, it overturned the lower trial court. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. That's part 1 of 4. And I just want to share with you, because like I said, it's a lot of folks out here with never put a foot in the fire. And so I say to you, there are attorneys who share advice. There are EEO advocates like myself who provide insight from firsthand knowledge. And then there's well-meaning TikTokers who share information that you really, really need to scrutinize. Okay? But moving forward, wishing you luck. Don't act on emotion. Act from a place of empowerment.